Kathy, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bernstein?
Here.
Commissioner Flores Weiskopf will not be in attendance. Commissioner Grossberg?
Here.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
Here.
President Kaplan?
Here, thank you. We'll start. Are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go to Golf Mecca proposal.
So if I
Liza
may
McElroy to start.
just give a brief introduction. So presenting tonight on behalf of the Golf Mecca is on the right, the far right is Keith Bank. Keith is a Highland Park resident. Dave Eschler is with the Golf Mecca. He is a golf course architect. And then I know everyone knows Dave Fairman, who is also a resident of Highland Park, who is connected with this group, and we all know that Dave has long been a supporter of the Park District. So just by way of a little history, I think it was in December that Keith reached out to me. He had been following, I'll say from afar, what was happening with the Highland Park Country Club, and had an idea that he wanted to present to the Park District for consideration. So he and I and Dave met, not Dave Fairman, Dave the architect, met back in early December and talked about it. And then we, he had given some plans to us, and then we had a meeting. I want to say that it was in January that we invited Cal and Brian as the golf liaisons to the Park District. And we met over at the Highland Park Country Club and talked about the proposal. And then you had provided some feedback to them. They since went back and have tweaked the proposal and would like tonight to present the concept of the Golf Mecca to the full board. So I think that's fair background.
Just one more thing. Just go over what our interest in the Highland Park Country Club is.
Sure. So as everyone has been following, the Park District of Highland Park had requested of the city the ability for us to turn off golf, and by way of a memo of understanding for the Park District to purchase the golf course, we have the ability, we have shut down golf at the Highland Park Country Club going forward. So with that being said, we are in the process right now of, we're in discussions with the city about finalizing that, but in the meanwhile, in conjunction with the Park District's 2024 green print, one of the items, actually a long-term objective, was eventually to convert the whole Highland Park Country Club property into an intergenerational community center and convert the golf course to trails, natural areas, stormwater management, but biking and walking trails. So as time has progressed, we have been working with the city. We have also had discussions with Lake County Forest Preserve District about implementing our plan to convert the property to open space. So we obviously have had conversations with the golf group about our intents with the golf course, the conversion of that property to open space. And I think that they're coming in knowing that this is one of our thoughts, and would still like to have discussions about how they think these two can complement each other, if that works for everyone by way of further background.
My mom's still coming, so there's a spot for her.
So without further ado,
Thank you.
Keith.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us in. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll try to keep it relatively brief and to the point. And can you see this screen over here?
They have it
It's
on
on
there.
Yeah, you have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
There we go.
Got it.
I'm trying to drive from over here. I apologize if my back is to you. So I'm Keith Bank. I'm a resident of Highland Park. Lived here for over 20 years. My wife grew up in the area. And when I heard about what was going on with the golf course, I've had an idea in the back of my head for 10 years about a newfangled practice facility that I believe is kind of on the cutting edge of the future of golf. I thought, what better way to implement it in my home community, and kind of been working ideas around for several years and waiting for the right piece of property to come along, and I believe this is the right piece of property. Our team that we've assembled, I think, is unparalleled in experience. Dave Essler's golf course architect, has designed many award-winning golf courses, very prolific in the field. And Dave Fairman has been CEO and been about with many different golf organizations and knows the way that the community works and knows the way the government works here. So I wanted to assemble a team of people who got it. And I'll say up front, this isn't a thing that's going to make millions and millions of dollars. This is really a combination of a labor of love and I believe something that would be phenomenal for the community in which we all live in. So, and we'd like this to be the first of many of these to be built around the country. So our goal, our mission statement is the creation of a multi-generational, family-friendly golf entertainment facility that's going to feature the most creative and immersive architecture and landscape design, marketed with diverse and innovative programming and the latest cutting-edge technology. That's a mouthful, but we're going to walk you through what this is and why we think this could be so interesting for the community. I briefly introduced our team. I think one of the things we're really good at, we think outside the box, yet we know how to work within the lines. We know how to work with other constituencies and other people to try to create a win-win. And when we approached this project, we knew that the Park District had a desire for some walking trails and open space. And as we unveil this, you'll see that we've devoted in our plan 40 acres of open space for walking trails. I apologize if I'm blocking it.
Okay.
And we also allowed for some connectivity so that this 40 acres, people would be able to come through here to get to the Highland Park Woods. I know that is a really important thing for the Park District. And also they have an entry where the rec center comes in off the parking lot. They have a nice entry into the space. These were some of the comments when we met with Liza last week that we incorporated into the plan. And then there's a lot of buffer along the side of our project, so we'll keep this really nice and open and wild, and whatever the Park District would like to do programming-wise on this space, we think we could accommodate, a win-win. We could keep the Legacy Club area golf. From our understanding, the residents there find that to be an important aspect. And so we tried to incorporate all the various parties' interests into this project. The project is going to have 9 core pieces to it. And again, I think this is part of the novelty that, to my knowledge, has never been done around the country. So the first area is called the front lawn, and that's going to be the driving range. It's a double-sided driving range that's going to feature the latest and greatest of everything, professional golf balls. It's going to have shot tracer, which you see when you watch the tournaments on TV, that shows, where the trajectory goes and how far it goes at every station. It's going to be operated. You're never going to have to go into your wallet for a credit card or money. Everything's going to be done with phones and iPads and electronically. It's going to be very, very cutting edge from a technology perspective. Going to have very, very well-groomed area with lots of target stations, and eventually we may incorporate 3 other tee areas where we think that in this direction as well, depending upon the demand. The second part of the puzzle is we call the loop. It's a 2, 4, and 6 hole golf loop that basically, if people only have 15 minutes, or if they only have 30 minutes, or some limited amount of time, it'll primarily be used for practice and for instruction, so it's not intended to compete with Sunset or any other golf courses. This is really meant as a place where you can play real golf holes in a practice situation and go out there with an instructor, or again, if you have very limited time, you can go out there and experience a little bit of real golf. The third part we call the Angry 9. That's down here. This is going to be a very, very unique par 3 course that's going to have holes are going to range from 70 to 135 yards in distance. It's going to have all kinds of really neat architectural features. Be a lot of fun. Again, someone could play this in an hour or less, hopefully. And Dave and I kicked around some really interesting design ideas. And again, we think a project like this will be on the cover of every single golf magazine in the country, national coverage. We have interest from all the major instructors around the country. We have interest from PGA Tour, all kinds of folks that we'll tell you a little bit about. Because again, I don't think anything like this has been done before. A big aspect of what we want to do for the community is make this family friendly. We want to, 5-year-olds can enjoy it, 10-year-olds can enjoy it, and 80-year-olds can enjoy it. So we've created this area called the Little Links, and this is for kids under 10 years old, where they can come out and just have fun and not have to worry as they might on a golf course if they're yelling or screaming or banging their club or doing whatever that some adult's going to yell at them or be mad at them or they're going to be disturbing anybody. They're going to be 9 super short, super easy holes with everything contouring so little kids can make birdies and hit good shots and enjoy the game and be exposed to it and just have fun. Something that really doesn't exist out there. We created something we're calling the Giant Putting Course. This is modeled after the Himalayas putting course in St. Andrews at the old course. One of the things that's coming in vogue is creating really interesting putting courses with contours that are unique, that like even at Augusta now they have some replica of the courses so people that go there can go putt on those kinds of greens. So this is intended for a lot of contests and competitions and be able, again, to be a gathering place. And it's surrounded by, we created a little band shell and a little stage so we can have outdoor concerts in the summertime and do other things like that. And in the family-friendly vein, we're gonna have food stations out here. We'd like to have outdoor pizza grills with smells wafting through the course, and where people can go and just congregate and have fun, different types of food stations, different types of experiences. The next component is we call short and sweet. It's a short game practice area that, again, is gonna have every type of short game shot under the sun. You can hit downhill lies, side hill lies, thick rough, short grass, and just really practice and hone those aspects of the game. Then we created an area called the recovery zone. And in the recovery zone, again, to my knowledge, this doesn't exist anywhere. You're gonna be able to hit 120-yard bunker shots, downhill lies, side hill lies, try to curve the ball around a tree, hit it over a tree, hit a hook around a tree. And we're gonna have all kinds of competitions and skill events and things that will attract, we believe, a lot of people to participate in some courses and challenges we're gonna have there. We'd like to turn the existing cart barn into the Mecca Cafe. And if you look at that other drawing over there, that's how we envision the building, to be very glassy, very see-through, where one side will be a cafe where you can get food, and the other side will be winterized, where we'll have a bunch of simulators and putting greens and perhaps golf physical therapy and other types of things and winter activities that can be utilized. And again, we want to make this a 12-month in the year place, so we would like to have cross-country skiing, we'd like to have snowshoeing, we'd like to have all kinds of activity going out year-round here and not just make it a golf facility. And the barn is actually part of the Mecca Cafe, so that's too, we call the whole building the barn, and we have two sides to it, and it's kind of walk-through breezeway. So that's the various kind of programming of the facility. That's just a small version of what you see here. I think an important piece is, again, we believe this 40 or so acres that we've carved out here can provide what the Park District and some of the residents would like to see, and could very easily cooperate with this, and we can have a win-win here. You know, we'll be paying rent or buying this land here, so the city will get a benefit, the Park District will get a benefit. The Park District will not have to spend however many millions of dollars they were gonna spend to develop and maintain this whole property. We'll maintain a portion of it. So we believe from an economic perspective, it's a really good thing, and as a resident of the city, I think that's very important. Some of the features that I pointed out that we will have, state-of-the-art indoor golf simulators and sports games of all types. I'm involved with a company called Full Swing Golf. It's the leading simulator company in the country. And you not only can hit golf shots, but you can shoot a hockey puck past the goalie, kick a soccer ball past the goalie, try to strike out a Major League Baseball player, play cricket. I mean, all these great things you can do in simulators. Again, we want this to be a gathering place where families come and have fun. The plan would be to put in this virtual putting green, which you can create 80 different breaks. It has motors and actuators underneath. So you can create all kinds of very cool shots to attempt, and it's got shot tracer on a putt green where you can actually see the line of the putt and things. That's another product of this company, Full Swing Golf. We want to have country club level conditioning, so this place is going to be pristine with flowers and beautiful. We're really going to maintain it and keep the turf to top-notch conditions. Again, as I mentioned, great equipment, top-of-the-line golf balls. You're not going to see beaten up striped golf balls like you'd find at most driving ranges. We'd like to incorporate unique transportation modes between the stations. There's things called a golf board. It's like a surfboard you can go on. It's kind of like a Segway type thing for golf, and there's several other variations on the theme that we'd like to incorporate. And again, adopt technology with check-in monitoring and payment systems that we think will be kind of the model of the industry. In terms of programming, which is really where I think this will stand out, anybody can spend money and build something beautifully, but the programming is where this is really going to be differentiated. We want to really segment and have something for everybody. So we envision the under 10 crowd who are just being introduced to the game, all the people that we want to grow into golfers and want to go play Sunset Valley and play all these other places, give them an introduction to the game in a non-threatening environment. Teens and high school students, whether you're a competitive golfer playing on the Highland Park golf team or the Deerfield golf team, or whether you just want to go out and have fun, we think this would be a good place to do it. Families seeking unique recreational activities. There just aren't that many places for families to go in Highland Park. You can go to a restaurant, you can go out to eat, you can do a few other things, but we believe this will provide a place where families can bond and have a great time. They can separate and all go do separate things and come together and have a meal or play together, and we think it'll really be a great thing for the community. And we'll have a lot of Highland Park specific programming. We would love, as we talked to Liza, to have programming where we would help run the golf camps and help with programming and help with clinics and do all the things that we believe we could do in a very, very professional, engaging, great way, and have, Park District programs that can use this facility in addition to using the golf course. And we think there's a lot of cross-marketing between Sunset Valley. Everyone's going to say, oh, it's a golf, it's going to rob from Sunset because we're putting a lot of money into Sunset. We believe it's going to complement that. We believe we can put programs in place where people will get packages and they can buy so many rounds at Sunset and so much time here, or we can, serve as the kind of the gateway into Sunset and get people excited about the game and wanting to go play 18 holes more often. So we don't think they're competitive at all. We think they're very complementary. And we plan to have programming for seniors, for women, for kids, for every demographic, every age group. And then also for the serious golfers who want a world-class practice facility. This will be a world-class practice facility. You will not find anything like this anywhere else. And we think we're going to attract people from all over the North Shore and all over the city to come experience this as well. In terms of programming, we're going to have individual and group lessons. We talked to some of the top instructors in the world who I have relationships with, and we've had interest expressed from David Ledbetter and Hank Haney and people of that ilk to come and be visiting professor type courses here, camps, skill events, youth academies for all different ages, kindergarten through second, third through fifth, sixth through eighth, local and travel teams, high school travel and elite players. And then this idea of visiting, teaching professors both nationally and locally. We'd love to attract the Bob Dickmans and the Todd Soameses and the best instructors from the area too to come and bring their clientele here to utilize this facility. Summer camps and clinics. We think we can program the heck out of this from a camp and summer perspective, both Park District, beginners, seniors, juniors. We also think it'll attract a lot of businesses to come and do corporate outings here. We think it's a great way to do something a little bit different. I think this local and regional skill competitions is huge. Any of you that watch the Masters, you see the drive, chip, and putt competitions that go on and how that's really engaged kids all over. We would love to do those kind of competitions, not only for kids, but for teens and for adults and for seniors, and have local competitions, have regional competitions. You can win a trip to St. Andrews, you can win a trip to the Masters, all kinds of really fun, exciting programming that's going to draw attention to the area. And the indoor studio I've talked about quite a bit. In addition to the golf, we think we can do a lot of other fun stuff in these simulators and some of the other ideas we have inside. We think birthday parties and corporate outings will be a big part of the facility as well. We want our food to be unique and special and different. And then this idea of non-golf entertainment, to use this area around this pond and this band shell to do some unique programming, mainly in the summertime, we think would be very, very exciting. So what's in it for the Park District? I'm sure this is what you all would like to know. We believe this meets many community goals. It creates a naturalized, appropriately sized open space and trail network that we believe the community will enjoy, while at the same time creating a world-class golf training facility that the community can enjoy. And we think fiscally and economically it's a better thing for the community and the Park District. We know that part of the stormwater management plan is part of this issue, and we're willing to work through all those issues. We know this is in a floodplain, and we know there's a conservation easement and all those issues we're going to have to work through. And we think this is a very fiscally responsible plan. It's a mixed-use plan that will hit all constituencies. It will create a rental revenue stream if we did end up doing a ground lease of some sort. And it will reduce capital expenses for the park district as well. Finally, you know, this whole Sunset Valley, are we competing or are we complementary? Again, people are gonna make up their mind whether it is. We believe it's a great thing if the goal is to really, you know, rising tide, all boats. We think we can really help create that here. So we're very excited about that. We believe with the connections we have, all three of us have been in the golf business for a very, very long time. My day job is in the venture capital business, but we specialize in investing in golf, sports, and technology-related businesses. Been an investor involved with Golf.com, with Full Swing Golf, with Club Champion, club fitting business. Produced a film on the history of golf, so I've been very around it, as have these two gentlemen, most of their adult lives. So, but we think we know how to get to the right people, how to create the right programming, and we think we're going to get a lot of attention and bring a lot of, you know, interest to the city and what we're going to do here. And just the last thing, I'm going to have Dave Fairman, one of my partners, read these two letters we were fortunate enough to get from the PGA Tour and from Hank Haney, just their view on what something like this might mean. So, Dave.
So this is material that came after our initial presentation. We've updated this. I don't know if you have this on your screens here.
We have it on screens,
And maybe
yeah.
people in the audience, but before I do that, I just want to say Keith and I are of a like mind. Keith and I started looking at, one of the places we looked at was another location where the demographics aren't quite so good. This is really a great location, lots of challenges, but et cetera. But one of the reasons that I'm sort of attracted to this is the participation of Keith. And he's a guy that's well connected in the golf business, and he's got a couple letters here. I won't do an overly dramatic reading. I know
Your voice has changed for the
well,
reading.
yes,
I appreciate that.
But this is from Lance Stover, who is with the PGA Tour, and he's the Senior Vice President of New Ventures, and it's addressed to you, of course, Park District officials. As the game of golf evolves, the PGA Tour continues to search for new ways to attract the next generation of golfers. We believe that this fun and friendly golf facility, as proposed by Keith Bank and his team, would help bring golf to all ages and skill levels by building unique, exciting, accessible, and entertaining formats to engage in the game. Again, we think we're a
Good
funnel, not a competitor of Sunset Valley. Over the last several years, I've gotten to know Keith professionally and personally, and I have tremendous admiration for his creativity, dedication, and work ethic. Keith's track record at KB Partners speaks for itself, and it should give the Park District confidence that this golf endeavor would exceed expectations for all its stakeholders. As one illustrative example, and this is how I kind of noticed Keith actually, he produced a movie. Keith's talents and his stewardship of the game consider his production of the acclaimed Tommy's Honor motion picture. Just as Keith poured his passion and energy into that creative effort, he too will work tirelessly to make the reimagined Highland Park development a success within the community where he lives. So we hope that you will give it a careful consideration. Now, I don't know if anybody has seen the movie Tommy's Honor. Please, raise hands.
It's not Tommy Boy.
No. Not the same thing.
Tony, I saw Tom. I saw
I want to
Tommy.
tell you that my wife and I went to it, and it's a good movie, and it's not just for golf nerds. And so if you ever see it on Netflix, maybe, you know, there's no car chases in it because it's from a different era. But it's a good movie, and I was really impressed with that. The second letter is from Hank Haney. Some of you may know Hank Haney. There's a mix of golfers and non-golfers in here, but he's one of the top, perennially one of the top 5-10 teachers in the country. Taught Tiger Woods. You saw what happened if you are a golfer with Tiger. You could take some little piece of credit for that. And this is again to the Park District. I'm writing this letter to express my personal support for the Golf Mecca plan developed by Keith Bank and his team. Having been born and raised in Deerfield and dedicating my life to golf, I feel especially inspired by this proposal and the impact it would make on the community. I visited tens of thousands of golf courses, private clubs, public fee golf courses, municipal courses, and driving ranges around the world. The Golf Mecca plan details a property that would be singularly unique and desperately needed as golf participation continues to evolve with our ever-changing modern lifestyles. The sport of golf is in need of facilities that provide for golf-related activities that can be enjoyed in any amount of time with any group of people and at a wide range of pricing levels. Traditional golf facilities can be unfriendly to golfers who only have a few minutes. And that's really what this is about. We're trying to be, as I said, the funnel to get people in a non-stressful way introduced to golf. So it's not just for the super special professional golfers, it's also for the young people that want to start in a non-threatening way. So parents looking to introduce their children to the game, couples hoping to enjoy date night music after fun 90 minutes of golf experience, and young adults with limited budgets. There is definitely a need in the market for those that want to learn the game in a non-threatening environment, and for those who do not always have 5 hours to commit to 18 holes of golf. Alternative facilities such as the Golf Mecca can serve as a great influencer to help increase interest in the game and keep those 18-hole facilities vibrant and full. Having grown up playing Sunset Valley, not the new version of it, I think this project would be a perfect complement to your fantastic new renovation, and I would envision some great cross-programming between the facilities. For these reasons and many more, I truly hope to see the Golf Mecca become a reality. I've committed to personally support the facility's grassroots instruction program. I'll read that again. I have committed to personally support the facility's grassroots instruction program, as have other nationally prominent golf instructors. The Golf Mecca will hopefully be the first of many facilities built in this model around the world, and I hope that my hometown will be credited with the original idea.
So that's kind of the spiel, as they say, and happy to answer any questions that anybody has, or address any concerns anybody has.
Barney? This, as a non-golfer, it obviously is impressive to me. You have to give a lot of thought to its impact on our other course and our use of the property, which we've set aside for a nature preserve, obviously. It's a very impressive concept, which I Harry? just don't-
I'm sorry,
I'm
Brian.
saying I just don't
I
have
thought
a
you were
way
done.
of.
I apologize.
That's all right. I just don't have a way of formulating an opinion right now.
Terry, any comments or questions?
I do have a few questions. Regarding the lake, so you lived here for 20 years, you saw that the golf course became a lake. So even if we were to use that area to the west as our walking trail, our nature area, is it your belief that those types of 100-year rains are coming about once a year now? Don't you feel that would affect your golf course?
Facility,
Would it
use a
affect
facility.
you, or
Facility.
would it
Yeah.
affect-
Yeah. I mean,
I think obviously if you have a 100-year rain, it affects everybody. There's nothing you can do about it. I think one of the differences here is a practice facility is different than a course. I don't think it.
Well, I think what Terry's trying to get to is that the course right now is designed to flood. It's designed to hold water. So when we have these 100-year rains, you see a lot of the course, a lot of that area goes underwater. So I think what Terry's trying to ask is, how are you going to account? Where's that water going to go? Is it going to go on your proposed facility, or is there some alternative for where the water would go under that scenario? Is that better?
So, let me try to address that and say that the property, I know this property very well.
Yes.
In 1993, I was part of a
Yeah.
3-person team that bought this thing with $10 million city money. So,
We know.
the
We know.
golf course,
they remind us of.
I'm sure they do, but it's all paid off.
Yes.
It's all paid off.
And we remind them that.
So the golf course, as you know, includes the property, as you know, is now into 5 or 6 different parcels.
Mhm.
And this is a line that we drew, and I want to be sensitive to this fact. This is your property, you're going to get this. We think our use would be a good fit here. So we understand that you don't know whether this pond, by the stormwater plan you're gonna do, is gonna go this way or something. So there's a degree of flexibility that we've built into our thinking. We like these elements that you have, that we had up earlier, and they can be moved a little bit. But you know, one thing golf courses and parking lots are good for is storing water. And so when you have a range, you typically create a lower point that could be, you know, that could hold some more water. So whatever you're gonna do with this floodway issue that you have, because this is not a local issue, it's really, as I understand, the approach you're taking is a regional issue.
Goes all the way up to Wisconsin.
And the question is, who pays for all that, which I think I asked you about before, but this has gotta be done together. This is gonna be, would be engineered as one piece. And I think you know that, I'm sure, and we know that, and so, we're we're flexible on this. I think Dave has drawn it about 7 different times. Maybe not flexible to redraw it tomorrow, but, as information comes in, we're happy to move these boundaries as they see fit, if it works for you. Now, there's a point where it just won't work at all for us. We don't know where that point is, but we're willing to explore that with you, and that's really what we're asking here. We're asking you to recognize this is would be a real feather in the cap for Highland Park. It would make Highland Park working title a golf mecca.
Have you had an engineer look at this? Because, as I said, if you're familiar with the place, okay?
Yes.
We're all familiar with it. We work out there. We see after a big rain, half or 2/3 of that course is underwater.
Right.
And water and turf don't mix. I mean,
Well,
Ryan could tell you about that, right, Ryan? Water and
So,
turf. Yeah.
so we had a record flood
Yeah.
last year.
Yes. In July, we had a bad
Yeah.
rain in July.
It was a record flood up
Yeah.
north, and water can sit on golf courses. Ryan is an agronomist, superintendent, for about 5 days, depending on the heat, et cetera, without killing the grass. That's where it gets serious. If we had an event every year that completely wiped out the turf of the thing, of the facilities that we've done here, that would be a problem. But for occasional ponding of water, that's part of the golf course business in the Midwest, with the exception of maybe Lakeshore Country Club, which is a beautiful piece of property, but that's neither here nor there. All these things are in the Skokie Valley. We
I just want to make sure, because you're spending a lot of time and you've put a lot of effort to this, and I make sure that you're aware of the situation and the problem, because it's something that we
floodway,
yes,
not floodplain,
Yes.
floodway.
which
We know that.
we're well aware of that.
Okay.
Dave,
Yes.
could you, whoever's running this, put the picture back on our screens?
Sure. Yeah.
It's just for those of us who are lazy and don't get up to.
I got another one if we're,
Yeah. Just one more follow-up on that one area, is that, obviously, we are as you're probably aware, we're the Park District, the city, the Lake County Forest Preserve, whatever other organizations or governments are involved, and Army Corps are in the process of discussing how this property could play into stormwater management. It's a regional issue. We don't know what the results of that conversation is going to be. And it could be, Liza, how long could it take?
It's gonna be 5 to
There-
5 to 10 years.
Yeah, and the Army Corps is under study now, and I think they're saying, and I'm kind of looking at Rebecca over there because I can see her, that they're estimating that to be a year. They're a year away from their study.
So how would that, we have to keep the door open, because it's open. How would that impact this potential this development, I just said?
How would the study?
Well, the fact that
Or
we-
what if they came up with
Yeah,
some
well,
solution?
yeah, we
that
don't-
This is a big lake.
Yeah, well, we don't know. We don't know what the result of that dialogue and that conversation is going to be. How does that impact what you want to do here?
It clearly would. And what we really want to get tonight, what we haven't made an ask of you, but
Yeah.
one of the things we'd like to do is to have you consider us a partner in that venture, so that we can follow and be apprised of it. If they say, this, as we talked before, this is a low property, and so the water table's very high, and you can't just dig down, et cetera.
Yes.
So if they have different ideas on storing it, we would certainly want to be a part of it, but is your question about timing?
No, my question is that, you know, this obviously is going to be an investment. If this goes forward, I mean, you have a lot of hurdles to get to that point, as you know. But assuming that you're able to meet all those challenges, and then this somehow comes into existence. You know, there could be something that's out of our control that could impact this property that make it an impossibility to operate the facility. And how would that impact your plans? Because there's this big unknown. We don't know what's going to happen with the property as a result of those conversations.
Well, I don't, you know, I don't have a hard and fast answer for you, but I would imagine that.
There's a risk. I'm saying there's
There
risk
is a
involved.
And if
Yeah.
the risk is that, this is speculative, if the risk is that a greater area decides that this is the perfect location to store a lot of water, then I would imagine for you that would be some kind of taking of this land for a purpose that's outside of the people in Highland Park. And there might be some kind of compensation for that. So,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how you're envisioning that, but I don't think that the Highland Park taxpayer should pay all the costs in terms of loss of property here to store water from Waukegan, which is, and from Pleasant Prairie. But again,
Okay.
that's to be determined. We have talked to the city a few times, and we've talked to their engineer, and we've talked a little bit about what he thinks, how he thinks this might go. And, you know, at this point, he hasn't warned us off this thing as this is absolutely not.
Okay.
So we know that there's a lot of questions to be answered. And what we'd like to be after tonight is considered someone that you would agree to include in these planning things. And we'd like to have some sense that the final document that comes out of the MOU, however that is, we could just get a chance to look at that before it's absolutely set in stone, in case there's some issue that we're not even aware of right now.
Okay. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Terry.
That's all right. And I did just jump into the question phase. I also want to echo Barney's, and I am a golfer, I'm not great, but that this looks compelling to me. I mean, it looks like a place I would certainly visit. Just a couple of maybe kind of just physical questions. What's protecting each venue from the other venues? Is it netting? How does that work?
No, so our designer, David, has planned this in terms of a corridor that would not require netting at this time. We would need to have some kind of signages, minimal signages, security, but we see, what we think is a really cool piece of this, is our ability, if we have some tree removal here, we have that, and we're required to do that, we can put them where you want them on the other property, if that's what you want. But we would secure this through probably natural barriers more than big ugly fencing, because that's not what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do, what would be exciting would be to work with your landscape architect on this, on what you want this to look like. And we met with Jeff and Amalia, and got a sense of sort of a template that they were looking at, which is similar to the Glen, the Park District facility in the Glen, where, you know, people can exit the rec center piece and walk out here, and we think we could create a really cool space here with our architectural capacity and yours on this side, where there'd be kind of a natural barrier that would provide security for both.
Can I get a couple more? Right.
Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. What do you feel is the synergy with our existing golf learning center?
That's a good question. This facility, as I understand, is parcel 3,
Correct.
and that this will be maintained by the city. This is a landfill. The level of this earth, all that's here now, all came from this over here back in the day. And we've talked, just kind of, we'd have to talk with the city, but this line could easily come here. This would add for some interesting topo in this thing. There are 2 bridges here, there's 1 bridge here, kind of expands the different areas thing if you wanted to do that. I want to pick up on what Keith said. We don't want to compete with you. And we want, if you want to be in the golf instruction business, and what we're gonna invest in as much in this is the curriculum and the attraction to bringing people in here. We don't wanna compete with you on that. If you want to have your camps, and I'm not trying to say your camps aren't, you know, a high level of curriculum, I think what we were saying is you can locate them here, you can run them out of here, we'll do this, we're not trying to take away your facilities. So, this is an interesting question, we think this is a better location. This is kind of a hard surface, old school driving range. What we're trying to do is attract an easy movement, you have a little practice area here. Attract sort of an easy movement throughout this thing where you might spend time here practicing the different things moving around. Did that answer your question? We don't want to
Yeah,
compete
well,
with
the
you.
question, yeah, that was my main statement, is that you are suggesting that we move our, whatever we do to that area, and not
What-
have a
what I-
separate.
What I'm suggesting is that the park district would have this available to them, and this might be available for some other use,
Mhm.
some other park use, if we could come to agreement with the city on that, or some other use that the city might want to put in.
My final question is about parking. Would you need to require, what do we have, 390?
351.
350?
Yeah, and I know
Have
that's
you-
in the MOU.
Yeah. Have you considered the type of parking you would need? Would you have to expand it, remembering that we have the rec center there already? So what are your ideas about parking?
Well, I remember, I've been periodically a member of the rec center, and congratulations on the participation there, that's fabulous. We're working towards this end of the thing, and this would be our point of entrance and presence down here, so our parking would be down here. But I imagine we're gonna go through a planning process, and we're gonna be told how many parking spots we need, and we're gonna have to figure that out.
At this point, the plan does show almost an acre of additional parking, co-opting kind of where the carts are currently staged and some of the green space south and west of the existing cart barn maintenance facility.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we've begun to think about that, and, but again, by code, we're gonna be told what we need to provide, but we've started to figure out where it goes.
I have a question for Liza in regards to the Angry Nine. That's still our lot over there. That's where that red dot is.
I
right?
think Dave can answer that
That's where I
since
think
he's
the driving
standing. Is
range
that,
is.
do you know if that's the part, lot, I think it's lot 4,
I think lot 4 goes to about here.
then it's lot 2, so it would probably be ours.
Okay. I just didn't.
There
know.
is,
It's hard
I
to
mean,
tell.
So, again, we're just putting our cards on the table here when we met with Liza. You guys have plans for this building. I think we could work with you on that. We're trying to figure out some kind of thing, some kind of configuration that works for everybody. This maintenance building,
Yeah.
this is kind of key to what we want to do. And we're sensitive, of course, to the conservation easement that runs all over this property in terms of new structures. So we'd have to work within that.
Thank
This,
you.
this parcel, the city is holding out
Mhm.
for.
Yes, potential
something.
future development.
Maybe the future is not.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's my turn?
Kel's turn.
My turn.
You want me back, you want one of us back there?
You can,
Whoever wants
you
to
can
answer,
all
but you can sit down, you don't
We're
have to
not
stand
that
up.
formal.
Yes, be Carol Merrill. Okay, by the way, I think this is a very impressive proposal. I mean, it's just, it's beautiful. I think it's innovative. So let's go try to drill down to my questions, just to follow up with what Terry was asking. You know, currently, on the southern portion of the property, we have the rec center, which you identified as being very successful. We have the clubhouse, which is the banquet facility, which the city is contemplating converting into a senior center, which I'm sure you're aware of. And then we have this potential additional use. Now, I know the question was asked by Terry about parking, and I don't know if the Highland Park Building Code has any idea of how they're going to allocate or how many spaces they're going to require for something as unique as what you're proposing here. So you have to have some idea of how many parking spaces that you're going to need in order to support this use. So do you have that number? And-
No, we don't have the number, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay,
interrupt you.
no, do you have that number? And if you don't have that number, do you have the number? I believe we have a number for the rec center, and the city has a number for potential senior center, and whatever that net number is what's the parking that's currently existing. So do you have any idea how that's gonna all coexist?
Well, I think what we thought when we first looked at this was that without a golf course, you don't have golf course parking anymore. And that's probably 60 cars at a time, typically in a rush period. Now, so we thought, we're not gonna have the typical time here would probably be 2-hour turnover rather than 5-hour turnover. And we kind of thought that because the parking for the golf course in the summer would be kind of going away anyway, that might be a fit. If the senior center comes in and they have a whole requirement for parking, all bets are off on that, I would imagine. I seem to recall that when we did the rec center here, somehow the city exempted this from the typical parking count.
But we still need to have parking. We have to have parking for our
Absolutely.
patrons, and you have basketball tournaments. You have other things that are happening there also. So, okay. So I don't know. I guess
So now you won't have the golf, so this was like an outing golf course?
Yes.
typically. So you won't have everyone arriving at 12 o'clock in our scenario? 60 cars arriving between 11 and 12, you have a band that's more
so that's
level over time.
so that segues into my next question. Have you created a business plan? And if you have created a business plan, what kind of density of use are you anticipating at this location? Because that actually then helps drive how many parking spaces you need.
So, yes, we have a business plan. It's flexible at this point because we've dealt with certain things and that we understand that comes with the deal, and we're willing to adjust that as the project may evolve to a point where it just doesn't work.
So based on your
this
business plan, how many parking spaces do you need?
We don't do that. We haven't
Oh.
done that level of business.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so, I had a thought, I forgot, so.
I'm sorry.
I haven't,
I think it's safe to say what we really wanted to do was find out if the board is interested in engaging with us going forward. And then we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get answers to all those questions
You know-
that are part of it. It's either gonna work or it's
Yeah,
not
I'm-
gonna work, but we didn't wanna have all these preconceived ideas, not knowing what.
And what I'm trying to do is I think this is a wonderful plan. And what I'm trying to see if it's even possible, do we even take it to that next level where we roll up our sleeves and start discussing it? Because if we're trying to put 20 pounds into a 10-pound bag right there, and then if we don't identify that right now, we could be 6 months down the road. You could invest a lot of money into the project at that point. We could be 6 months talking about this, and coming back to the same issue. I'm just trying to identify if it's possible to do. If it's possible to do, then it may be worthy of a conversation, a dialogue. If it's not possible, I just want to make sure that, I want to see if there's a
So
possibility
we
this
think it's
actually happens.
possible because we're willing to be flexible, and if we have to cut out an acre here because that's
Oh.
what allows it to happen, we'll cut out an acre.
Okay.
This isn't set in granite. This is our
Okay.
grand vision,
Okay.
what we'd like to do in a perfect world, and the world we know isn't perfect. all the
Okay,
time.
I can.
and to add to what Keith says, I would say our business plan is a financial plan at this point.
Okay.
And it's a marketing plan more than the site plan that's been fully developed. But we see different levels of participation, including somebody just wants to try it, or someone that likes it and wants to practice here. And we think that's a great way to complement Sunset. So we could do something very easily on weekend tea time players. I don't know if you have a membership program now, but we can work with all that. And that's the key piece to our business plan. But what we need to know, and we respectfully thank you for the time, because I know you're a little fatigued on this full parcel. You've probably spent plenty of time.
No, it's exciting.
With the city.
No, I
No,
enjoy, I'm enjoying it.
Dave, take as long as
This
you
I'm
want.
enjoying today.
So,
I have a all right.
so let me just finish,
okay,
Cal. So
yeah.
what I would say is, let's establish the hurdles, and let's see if we can get over them
Okay.
sequentially. And our first hurdle is, if we can make this work, are you guys okay with it? And we want you to be excited about it because we want you to own, that we're leasing this property to own the greatest golf learning facility around.
Okay, so when we met a couple months ago back at the Highland Park Country Club, you were talking about putting structures
We've moved away.
You moved that, so
we've
there's no
moved away from
structures.
the woods,
So just, okay,
although we agreed with Jeff and Amalia that the woods are nice, but they're kind of, they need a little cleaning up.
Yes, they do, yeah.
So to really enjoy them, the buckthorn and the silver maples and stuff might want to come out of there. But we think that's a cool piece to this. Now, you know, we would adjust this. When we met with Liza and her staff, the planning staff, or
Yeah, Rebecca was not there.
Rebecca was not there, and I know how important Rebecca is to this project. She said, well, we need, you can't block us off here, so we need access.
The
to this." So
connectivity.
we said, yeah, that could happen, and we didn't redraw this, but we think that's a corridor that could easily go, and this would be a really attractive way to go. You know, there used to be a road platted through here. Way back
I know,
in the
there,
day.
it's still there, it's still platted.
But no, it's vacated, I think.
No, I think it's still on the, oh, whatever, it's not
Okay.
important.
On the west
So-
and east side?
Yeah,
Guys,
Then there's this.
focus.
It's okay. Then there's this access here. This can be done in a lot of different ways, you know, from this. So we want to know that you think this is worth pursuing. We do. And, you know, we're all working on it right now with no guarantee that it's going to happen. Something like this is going to get invented. And we want to be the people, and we want your facility to be the place.
okay, so, I have two more questions.
Yes.
And I promise I'm trying not to delve in too much of the detail, but
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's, you know, it's my
I'm more
nature.
comfortable answering questions standing up.
Okay, great. So the first question I have is, are you aware that we had studies done by Pellucid and Jacobson several years ago, it was already several years now, about that this community cannot support 2 golf courses?
Yes, I am. In fact, I recommended Pellucid to Ralph Volpe at the time, and I think I recommended Rick Jacobson
Yeah.
to Liza.
So you're comfortable that this will not fall into that, I'm going to call it trap of having 2 golf courses in town, which make it difficulty for this town to operate?
I have a lot of thought on that.
Okay.
And I'll try to keep it real brief.
Okay.
This is not Highland Park, that map is not a closed system. You have competition for golf all over the North Shore here. Some of them are, you know, thinking about fading away or not. But your market is not just this Highland Park area. So when you close one golf course, the golfers some will come to Sunset, some will go to other places. And your goal, and our goal, as your partner in this, is to keep most of them here. We think this will help you do that. Northbrook, I think this is the sequence. Glenview redid their 18. Wilmette redid their 18. You redid your 18. Northbrook's going to redo their 27. So this is an economy, a golf economy, where there is some shrinkage. And there's a problem in golf courses because they're all built typically in this kind of geography, this floodplain thing. And what do you do to reuse this? And this is what Keith mentioned. There's a lot of these that need to be redeployed. You're still in a strong market. You can support, Sunset Valley will not, in my opinion, will not be hurt by this. It will be helped because you're gonna be so close and so tied to our facility. So we're gonna be better than, say, there's a reporter, a town next door that has more landlocked facilities. And this, you know, your new design, I haven't seen it, I've driven by it, and I get the concept, and I know Rick Jacobson, and he worked when I was working for a company. He did work for us at Kemper Lakes when I was the manager of that. It's gonna be tremendous. It's gonna be tremendous. And you need us to help you bring golfers and keep golfers there. So, long answer, this doesn't compete. This isn't a second golf course where people are deciding where to play. This helps, I think.
All right, last question. And I always think worst case scenario. I'm a half full guy, but I'm going to do a half empty now. Worst case scenario, you do the investment, 4 or 5 years into it, you figure out it doesn't work.
Okay?
What happens at that point?
That's a good question. You've got a beautiful green space, maybe with some modified landforms that you'll have approval of. And how hard would that be to just make this flow into something else? There's risk in everything. We don't think we're building anything here that can't be easily incorporated into an expansion of this, or somebody else take a try at it, or you guys own it. You may like it.
I mean, the risk we may have, for example, is that one of the things is that obviously we have an old and tired driving range. And if you build something like this, this is obviously going to put our driving range out of business. And then 4 or 5 years down the road, or 5 or 10 years, if for some reason this doesn't work, then all of a sudden we don't have a driving range for our community because we've closed our driving range. And if we don't want to undertake, if you couldn't manage and make this successful, what makes us, the Park District, think that we can do it too?
So that is a sort of a worst-case scenario.
Yes.
And,
What's your thinking about that?
well, my thinking is, this is a landfill. You're not building anything on this. In fact, it has a covenant on it that it can only really be golf-related things.
Well, the whole course is like that.
Yeah. And, you know, this is easily brought back. This isn't like bringing back, this is a dated driving range concept.
Mhm.
As I said. People, this is called a stop and sock facility. You stop your car and get up and sock balls. And for that, it's good on 41, although the access thing is that, this is stop and socks. People don't get better doing stop and socks. They don't get better at golf, hitting balls. In fact, a lot of times they get worse because they just keep doing the bad
Yeah.
thing that they were doing before.
Oh, that's my son's pro stomach.
So this is the future of golf learning. The technology for golf learning is amazing, and Keith is right on top of that stuff. The new stuff that's happening all the time, the feedback systems where, I don't have a great golf swing, but where, you know, you get to hear and you get a noise, and it goes, that's right, and you get this noise, that's wrong. So the feedback systems are getting tremendous, and that's the kind of state-of-art facility that we want to build here. There's a whole lot of science now that's going into golf. It's cool. It could be an instructive piece as well for kids to figure out, you know, the physics of it. There's a lot happening. I think your risk here is certainly worth, you know, the small risk that this goes away and you don't want to operate it because it's losing money or it's underwater or the Army Corps has come and paid you to use this land for some other purpose. You're not gonna, this isn't gonna be far from being, you know, recommissioned, but you might not want to do this here. You might want to do it somewhere else. I mean, the best thing of this site is it has what, 40,000 cars a day going by? Is that, who those traffic counts? That's probably the best thing of that thing. It's also the worst thing, because it's kind of an inhospitable entrance, and it's certainly not a place you want your kids, when they're just learning to drive to.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Keith and Dave. I think it's a very exciting proposal. That's all I'll have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless someone else, Brian's turn. He's
Oh, I
he's
get a turn.
Yeah. You saved the best for last.
Well, I'm not going to ask any questions because they've pretty much been asked, but I'll tell you what I'm thinking because that's what you guys keep asking for. And I'm looking at this and I'm trying to reconcile putting in something that I would love. I've been golfing for 5 years. I'm addicted. I could see spending a day a week on this. But we've also spent 7 years telling the public not only can 2 golf courses, and I know yours is different, not coexist here, but we've also been telling them about these trails and pathways that we want to put through it. And I'm looking at the portion of land that you guys would require, and I understand that, and the portion of land that's left, and I don't know if we're doing a disservice to our other constituents by saying, okay, we'll put our trails here. You've got 40 acres marked off where by size, a quarter to a third is existing water. If the Army Corps of Engineers takes the rest of that land from us because they need it for stormwater management, then we're left with nothing. And this is what I'm trying to reconcile, just so you guys understand. I think the plan is great. I can't find fault with any of it. I would love it. But this is what I'm trying to reconcile. And this is what I told you, and I think Dave, when we met in January, I still feel the same way. I wish I could come up with a way to do both, and maybe we can. But that's the downside to I see it. The upside is there's a lot of upside.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I still think that we can, I mean, this feature is on, I don't know if it's passive use, you're not gonna put stuff in there like Independence Grove or anything like that. Or-
Well, we've floated
Okay.
using boats
That
or
would be
canoes.
that would be, if you move your hand to the east, that's where more of the, you know, if we had picnic areas and Independence Grove-y type of activities,
Right.
it would be on that area, because we all recognize that the area to the west is the wettest area of all.
Right, so you have, so again, we would be flexible with that. It's your show.
No,
You're driving the show. If you tell us you only get some piece, we'll tell you quickly, thank you for letting us, for considering it, and we'll go away because it won't work economically. I mean, as Keith said, this is not a multi-million-dollar.
No,
deal.
I
This is
understand that.
This is sort of an entree into a new approach to golf learning. And that, now the other piece I would say is that being a dog owner and a dog park user in Lake County, et cetera, you know, this area here has actually got to be higher because of the bank, the stream bank has to be a little higher, so there'll always be the walking access area here. And I would imagine that drainage-wise, if we provide compensatory storage, you can get this stuff up a little higher and drier than it is right now.
Yeah, but the truth is, if you flood it all, it'd be impossible to get to that point where you were showing that's higher up.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
Well, that's the difference between the 10-year, 20, 50, or 70 now.
No, but I've seen it at least 3 times in the last
That's
year.
that was what I was saying, is these 100-year floods are coming every year almost, and that's,
And the ducks are happy on the course, but that's just my thought.
Okay.
Brian, can I ask you a question real quick? Because I come into this a little bit late so is there this loud hue and cry from the community that we need open space and walking trails, or was this done because there was nothing else to do with the property? Because I haven't heard the community saying we desperately need more.
When we did our
110
last
acres of
survey,
walking trails.
when we did our last survey, more open space was the #1 response.
Yeah, and also, as Dave's aware, that this property is a conservation easement. Basically, you can have a passive park on it or a golf course. You really can't do anything else with this property. And when the last 2 surveys that we've done, I believe it was 80% of this community wanted more walking and biking trails, wanted more trails. And so we after those attitudes and interest surveys, we're trying to be responsive to our constituents. And when this property became available, what do we look at? I mean, you can do 2 things with this property. You could do a golf course, or now you came up with a third thing, because this obviously was not on our radar, but either a golf course or more trail or walking and riding trails. And we're just trying to be responsive to the attitudes and interest survey.
and that was the reason was the reason I asked about what was going to be protecting each venue. Because if you tried to make this more of a hybrid, I think that you might find more, at least in my mind, I find the biking paths and the hiking, the walking paths really attractive. And if you can incorporate that more for people to be able to walk through there or to bike through there, I think you would probably need netting or something like that to keep balls from flying on people's heads as they go by. Because honestly, the heart of the walking trails is where you have the golf thing. And so if there's a way to make that more accessible to the community who aren't golfers, in my mind, it would be more attractive to me.
But that's subject to the conservation easement, because you have to be careful what kind of structures you can put into. I don't know if netting like that will be allowable based on the conservation easement.
Really, even
Hang it from the trees.
I think the way we designed it, though, you're not hitting in the direction, you're hitting away from where the people are going to be walking, so I don't really.
I mean, that could be worked out,
Yeah.
Right.
all this is
I'm
meant
just
for. This
saying,
is just a
thinking of
concept
it
plan right
as a
now.
hybrid,
Yeah.
yeah.
So from our perspective on that, golf courses, driving ranges with nets are only put up, if you don't worry about hitting people, is to not lose a lot of balls into the woods, et cetera. So we would design this so that didn't, so that stray shot, there was enough of a safety corridor, the stray shots had a place to go.
You never seen
Maybe-
Terry hit a
Never
ball
gone
before,
with
though.
me.
It goes that way.
Is he to get worm burners? So we could have low kind of thing. I mean, we could do low because you don't want people walking off there. But my
Yeah.
point is, we're not looking at building on like Dundee Road, Sportsman's,
Yes.
that kind of thing. We don't want that look. We want this to work with you, where this is kind of green and this is kind of earth tone and natural, and we want the design to work.
Dave, Barney's got a quick question.
Yeah, I do, I'm sorry. Now that I've listened to the presentation, which I echo everyone's compliments, We did commit to the community, and the community has requested nature preserve and open space. We both, looking at this, we all know that the part to the west of the Skokie River is not necessarily going to be well incorporated into a nature preserve. So if we were to consider this, I'd want to see you're using as much of the west portion of the property, the driving range, the golf learning center, because if we're going to do it collaboratively, the golf learning center needs to be redone. And so, and I'm not saying that I'm ready to say this is something we should approve, but I would certainly want to see as much of the facilities that you're putting on the east side that are taking up our nature preserve shifted to the other side of the river. And maybe with that as a presentation, and knowing that we're still going to have a nature preserve, and we have issues of the parking resolved, then I think I'd be in a point where I could start thinking about it again.
Told you it would be early. Okay.
Oh, and to answer the question, if it fails, we would require a bond or a security
Yes.
deposit so that we could just go in and restore it the way
That's,
we
I
want.
was thinking that too, but I was not trying to get to that level of detail.
I realize, but it was asked.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Very exciting.
So what's the next step?
Well, are you gonna discuss it more? We're ready to keep going. We're ready to keep going on this thing. We just need, I think the next logical thing is you're going to have an agreement with the city. So we would like to have, and we have met with the city, I think we deferred to Liza not to do that until we kind of talk to you. We'd like to go back to them and talk to them about, what they're doing here and down here, et cetera.
I would suggest that you use us as your primary contact, because we're the ones who are working with the city on the acquisition of the
That's fine.
property.
I mean, you guys obviously realize you're coming in at the top of the ninth inning. We're up by 5 runs. And there's, using the baseball analogy, because
God.
we're about to, we're about to execute an agreement with the city
So
and with the
then,
purchase.
let me ask you this, the
Yes.
next step.
Yeah.
Can we at least preview the agreement you're about to sign with the city? At least give us, I know it's going to be on an agenda of both parties, and could we give you some comments? Could we just look at it? We
We're
have
not there
counsel
yet,
that-
and the agreement's not in a position, and is not in a condition yet to show to anybody. We're still working on the agreement. My suggestion would be, is that we'll have a discussion among ourselves of how we try to address this potential proposal within our agreement, and then we'll talk to you.
Okay. I do want.
Because this is not on the radar with our discussions with the city. This is, again, you're coming in the top of the ninth inning.
Okay. The city does know, I mean, so
Yeah.
they know this, and actually, they were kind of favorable towards it.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to say to you is your survey was based on the concept of Highland Park Country Club as it existed. I think it was 120 acres. It was a tight track. It was not a super premium golf course to begin with. And the survey was based on Sunset Valley, so you had lovers and haters of both property.
David, I don't think that's a fair approach.
Which survey are you talking about?
The survey was not which golf course. The survey that Cal was alluding to was community interest. And the
It was an
community
attitudes and interest survey.
survey was that this should be open space hiking trails.
I have an idea.
Okay.
We've heard the presentation. We will discuss it. We know where you are. We will reach out to you. But it's delving now, and
Okay.
Mm.
I just wanted to say that we haven't surveyed this kind of thing.
Right, no, and I
There's more
understand.
acceptance for that.
How does this compare to Top Golf or something like that? Totally
Yeah,
different?
Topgolf
totally
is-
better than Topgolf.
Yeah. So
I like
how's it,
Topgolf,
why do
but
we
this
say,
is more.
how's this different?
So Top Golf is basically chips embedded in golf balls, and you're hitting at targets, and it's really not, for golfers, it's really more, if it's Dave and Buster's, with you happen to be hitting golf balls, and
Yeah.
70% of their revenue is food and beverage.
So it's not something like a drinking thing where you're gonna go there and drink beer and
Yeah,
hit golf balls.
That's what that's
That's
what
what
it
Top
is.
Golf is.
Totally
It's
different
it's
concept.
like bowling.
Topgolf is golf
It's like going bowling, but you're
Yes.
hitting golf balls instead of bowling. It's different.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great,
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much
We
for
will.
the time.
Appreciate it, thank you very much. Very exciting.
We're not
Can
going
we
to
stay and listen to
we're
the
not
next
going to
thing
have
on
a
the
cap. We're not
Sure,
gonna have-
you can stay. It's open meetings. David Meek has to stay then. No, please stay.
Someone's got to stay.
My mom's staying, you guys can stay. Thank you. Karen's staying.
Karen's got to stay. We have to sign her card that she came and went at the right time. Okay.
That'll make
Jeff, can you follow that?
I'm going to try.
I didn't call on him yet, but Jeff Smith is presenting on park operations and golf operations. Construction update, 3 minutes or less.
Oh,
Because
thank
that
you.
was supposed to take 15
It's
to
not
30
open.
minutes.
Yeah, I'll make up the time. I'll go faster.
We know. No, it's fine. So, I guess we don't get this.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
All right.
taking everything. Okay, Jeff,
Ready?
go. I'm ready. I came here ready. Late.
So over the last month at
But I came
Pogo, we've really wrapped up work there. The building is essentially complete. We are in the final stages of our inspection process. We have one final elevator inspection in the morning, and with the building now complete, staff have started to move items in. So I'm going to go through my standard pictures here. I'm going to do a little before and after. So this was the training room, kind of kitchen area last month. And here it is now. As you can see, it's complete. We've got all our appliances in,
Oh.
all the cabinetry.
Is our golf clubhouse gonna look this good?
I don't know. I'm not doing that project. Here's the stairway last month. And so we finished that off now. The stairs have been poured, all the railings are complete. This was the state of the elevator last month. That's now complete. And like I said, we have-
Waiting for inspection.
It's just waiting for one final inspection.
And no one used it until inspected.
Here's a workstation area for staff. As you can see here, thanks to our IT department, our computers are in, phones are in, we've got internet. Security cameras we talked about last month have been installed, printers are in, we are ready to go. Offices, we have furniture assembled, and
Whose office is that?
that is Director Voss's office.
That's yours.
Oh.
I took the picture myself.
That's as clean as
We're having a new policy at Pogo, keep clean.
Locker rooms. And as I mentioned, staff are starting to move items in. This is the golf maintenance garage, starting to bring equipment in, equipment there.
Oh, excuse me.
And this is in the lower level where a lot of the vehicles will be housed. Mechanics area being set up here. Now, a few outstanding items that are going to be completed this spring once the weather warms up are the parking lot. The first layer of asphalt was poured, but we need to do the final coat, and once the weather warms up. We also have right on the exterior of the upper level, there's some sealing of the concrete that needs to be taken care of, and then there's an expansion joint that needs to go in. Right when you walk into the building, you'll see a gap where the retaining wall is. That'll be completed once the weather warms up. And then finally, we have to wrap up the landscaping. We've got a little more planting to do.
Jeff, could you go back to the picture showing the truck inside to show the size, the height of the
Space.
building?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's significant.
So certificate of occupancy been issued?
Should be tomorrow.
Should be tomorrow.
We have,
Is it going to be a temporary or is it going to be?
well, we've been working with one temporary, but we're looking for final,
We're looking for
hopefully
final.
tomorrow. Financial report, as we reported in the past, we're still on track to finish this project under budget. And as far as the contingency over the last month, most of those dollars went toward items that came up in our inspections. And then
Was the ribbon cutting as well?
Yep. That's going to be March 21st, so not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday.
It's Jan Bernstein's birthday too. 39 years old.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll have a
Celebrate
cake.
it there.
Yeah.
And once the park staff are out of the current parks garage, we will be demolishing that. And the plan is to do that in April, likely early April.
How long is it going to take?
We're thinking
Somebody that
2 to 3
called me and
weeks.
asked me about it a little bit. Perfect.
Any questions? Any other questions?
I'm going to comment, and I should probably wait until the end of the March meeting, but for, Terry, really for your benefit, being the newer board member, as you can witness, the existing building at the Parks area and then what was at the Golf area. Our park staff, one of our parks, our mechanic has been working for the Park District for 40 years. These guys never believed that this would really happen. And I mean, they would never believe, and every person in this room knows that there have been doubting Thomases. You know, we've heard that before, we've heard that before, we've heard that before, and now they're in it. And it is just, it's joyful to go over there and see them in there as they're coming in and moving in and looking around and like, so, I'll say it again, I just, on behalf of all of the staff, in particular Dan and Ryan and their crews, cannot thank you all enough for being the board that said we cannot kick this down the road anymore. And I will say it again, but I just, as you know, this has been a very passionate project because it's not as pretty as Sunset Valley, but it sure is meaningful. So I feel, you have no idea. I know finally the guys are really excited about it, and it was. I mean, we've talked about it, and you guys did it, and on behalf of all of us, we can't thank you enough, so.
You know, when I first came on the board 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago, I got a tour by the former executive director, and he showed me the condition of the building and how terrible it was. And I said, why is this building in such terrible shape, and why does the board allow this? And he says, well, every board has always determined that there's other things they'd rather spend their money on than a maintenance facility.
It's not sexy.
It's not sexy. There's always something else they can do. And I think that it was this board and the prior board that took the attitude is that we were going to master plan the district. And part of the things that we found out when we master planned the district, how important it was to build this building and what it meant to the staff and both the efficiencies and to be fiscally responsible, what the existing building and what that would cost to keep it up and running. So I echo, again, it's something that I never thought I would see get done because, again, as you said, it's not sexy, but it's something that was necessary and it's part of good planning. And I think that all of us should be very should feel good about what we've done because, again, this is a result of good planning.
Yeah. So, and the ribbon cutting will be next Wednesday evening. We're actually going to do, at lunchtime, we're going to do staff, because a lot of the Parks guys are up at, 5 o'clock in the morning or something, so they won't be around in the evening, but we'll have our in-house ribbon cutting, and then certainly all of us will be there, but, they'll be happy with it.
We're touring tomorrow.
Pardon me? And
We're
we
touring.
are touring tomorrow at 5.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks,
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good
All
job.
right, Mr. Romes, Clubhouse.
Thank you. So it's only been 7 days since the board approved the guaranteed maximum price. And we're done. So I don't have any pretty pictures to show because there hasn't been a lot of progress in the past 7 days. But WB Olson is on site. They have their work trailer in the south parking lot. There is a construction fence around the building, and they are ready to go. Later this week, we will see some demo, mostly starting with the outside demo. Trees will start to come down in that area. Some of the shrubs will start. Those, of course, will be replaced in other locations. But the outside demo will begin, and then probably next week they will begin at the end of the week more of the inside demo as well. So other than that, Woodhouse Tanucci, our architect, has been re-engineering and doing some new drawings based on the specifications, based on the value engineering that we approved last week, so they're making those changes. And then we're also working with Tanucci in our planning department on coordinating a multitude of, a few other projects, actually, that will take place alongside the renovation of the building, which will be the conversion of the cart barn to accommodate the electric carts, the asphalt replacement and seal coating in the south and east lots, and then the parking lot lights. So we're working on all the coordinating efforts with that. Regarding the financials, there hasn't been any expenses regarding any of the construction. The only expenses we've had thus far have been
consultation fees, architecture fees, and engineering fees, and things like that. So
I have
So-
just a couple little questions that someone
for
asked
that?
me. I told people about it, and they had questions, so I just wanted to relay
Yeah.
them. The tent area, that's the thing, that's gonna be the lawn that's just south of the clubhouse, is that, or?
No, it's going to
West.
be west.
towards the first hole, the first.
Oh,
yeah,
oh, so it's gonna
tee
be
box.
like in front of the patio?
Of that west door,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, okay, got it, okay. And how many people is that supposed to accommodate?
I don't know. I can give you the exact number right now, but somewhere around 100.
100.
100 to
And
120. yeah.
how many, what is the capacity of the clubhouse?
It's about 70.
Okay.
Uh,
Because he was thinking like, yeah, we could have weddings there. I'm like, whoa. I was told.
yeah,
Small wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
small-
with the tent,
right.
I mean,
I
you
mean,
know,
but
we
people-
can have 120 is what we think for a golf outing. With the inside and the outside, you could get up to 144, but that would mean it's used to its capacity. So
I just didn't
with
know
the
what
patio, with the indoor seating, with the tent, yeah. that
I
would
don't
be
think
like
we would
max.
do weddings during the golf season though, because
right.
the setup and all that would take away golf, so that might be an
Uh-huh.
off-season,
Uh-huh.
venue.
Which would be then just obviously. Yeah.
Is there a possibility of a tent?
Yeah, so there is an area which we will have available to bring in a tent and accommodate outings and things like that.
Population too.
That's just-
That'll expand this. That's where most of the seating would be for an outing. Would be under the tent.
That was 100 people you,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I can get the exact number. It might be 100, 120.
Yeah, somewhere around- that's my recollection.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Great. Thank you.
You ready? Brian's following Brian.
Dave, this will be of interest to you.
Dave, this is it.
So, so I know Dave. He was in my interview process for this to come here. So,
Obviously you passed.
yeah.
It's all to Dave.
So if you look outside today, it doesn't even feel like spring's coming. So hopefully in the next few weeks we'll get some more spring weather, so the grass will start germinating and growing better. But just to walk you through what we've been doing this winter. So last month we participated in the golf show. We had a lot of really good feedback from people that attended the golf show and were very excited for Sunset Valley to open. So that was, Liz did a great job with our marketing for that, and I can't thank her enough for the brochures and the board. So that was very well received. Another thing I just want to talk, I get a lot of questions from people, when's the grass going to start growing? So you get the most germination when the soil temperatures get up to around 50 degrees. So we dormant seeded 2 holes that I told you. Number 1 and 7 were dormant seeded, and then we put the hydro mulch on top. And then once the spring weather gets here, once the soil temperatures get up, that grass will pop through the hydro mulch. So this is kind of what it looks like today. This is one fairway. Hydro mulch obviously all stayed in place. We had a lot of heavy rains this winter, and we were fortunate the hydro mulch stayed in place, so the seed is still there. So once the soil temperatures get up, the seed will just push right through there, and we'll start mowing it and grooming it and putting it all together. But that was only on the last 2 holes. This, now I want to talk about for landscaping, what we're going to do as far as tree replacements and where we're going to incorporate that and that in. So this is 13 green, 13 fairway, 13 green, the new green site for 13. So one thing we did when we took out some of the tree removals, we exposed this beautiful American elm. It's not a heritage yet. It's still, but it's close to a heritage tree. But we want to incorporate that theme of elm trees, do a resistant elm variety between 12 and 13. So on the next picture, This is looking the opposite way. This is 12 fairway. So the open area down by 13T, and we want to intermingle. It's called triumphant elm. It's a species of American elm that's Dutch elm resistant. We worked with the city foresters. They were great. They gave us some good varieties to choose from. What does well in Highland Park, in the northeast side of Illinois. We wanted trees that do well in this area. So we're going to spread out 5 trees between five American elms between 12 and 13. And one thing I think gets overlooked when you're planting trees is you want to picture the tree as it is when it's at maturity. So you don't want to plant it too close to a fairway, too close to a green, where when the tree develops, 30, 40 years down the road, it's not going to overhang in a fairway. It's not going to overhang a green where it's going to block the normal advancement of a tee shot or a fairway shot from a bunker. So you always want to take those ideas into a concept when you're planting trees on a golf course.
How tall the trees are you going to plant then?
They will be 3-inch in diameter, and they'll be around 15 to 18 feet tall.
Oh, so they're pretty tall.
Yeah, so we want to make sure they were good trees.
Dave, what do you think?
I think it was great.
Yeah.
And I know it is kind of open there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is this area. And then the next slide, this is the triumphant elm. This is the tree that we selected for that location. So here is 5, the new green side on 5, and then off to the right is 6T. So if you look in that picture, if you really look, off to the right is 6T. So we wanted to bring an evergreen type of tree in to kind of help screen that 6T. So if somebody hits an errant shot into 5 green, it doesn't go over there and hit somebody. So we're going to incorporate the tree on the left is called an eastern white pine, and the tree on the right is called a Serbian spruce tree. So just intermingle some native evergreen trees into that area.
Why don't you use Albervita, which seems to be everyone uses in Highland?
Because arborvitae it does not count towards tree replacement.
Oh, duh.
Good answer.
Yeah. Trust me, I've already asked that. So that does not count towards tree replacement in Highland Park. But no, these will do very well. And again, they help me. The foresters help me pick these out. So very good trees. So I don't know if anybody remembers. So we had that island on 1 out in the lake, and it had all that buckthorn in it, just covered in buckthorn. Just looked like garbage out there. So we went out this winter, removed it all, and my idea is to sprinkle, kind of intermingle wildflower seed in there. So you have a pop of wildflower seed for habitat, butterflies, any type of birds that want to come in there and feed.
Cool if you had some fake penguins up.
I would do fake swans just to scare up the geese.
You would just do,
Just
have
do
a couple of double takes.
Yeah. But that's just kind of, no maintenance. We'll just go out there and put that in, but we don't have to maintain that over time. So just be a cost savings.
It would be very nice.
Yeah.
So another thing I know I talked about last October or November is the picture on the right just shows a lot of underbrush in the woods on between 4, 12, and 6, if you can remember. So the picture on the left is how we're clearing that out. We just want to clear all that buckthorn, any dead trees that have come down, and really open that space up, and then incorporate a shaded woodland seed mix in there.
So is the path still there?
The path is still there,
The Schramm's path?
but it's kind
You
of
can see it better.
you can see it better now. But we want to incorporate some shaded woodland seed mix in there. And then I just want to go back to this original slide. So if you can see the border on the east side of the lake next to the woods, just the border right next to the lake edge. So just picture that. And then there's a stilby. I want to get a stilby like in the bulb form to plant in the ground. And then over 2 years, incorporate this border along the lake edge on 12. Very minimal expense. we would do everything, all this in-house, and just add that pop of color right on that lake edge.
And how long would it flower?
It flowers for about a month in midsummer.
Wow.
Now, it takes a couple years to fully mature, but I think that would really give you that wow factor as you're hitting down. And it's no maintenance to us. It's a perennial flower that comes back every year.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And then I'll have, it's really I'll have for now. I think, we'll continue to incorporate different ideas as we go through the process, but our big thing is to really grow everything in and focus in on that, and then try to incorporate these little subtle landscaping ideas throughout the course as we go along.
What about our cart that was on 12? What did you decide to do with that?
Well, we are thinking about, let me go back here,
From the original
is on that
Highland
shelf,
Park.
on that shelf on the other side, is
Yeah.
to restore it there, and then maybe putting some compost in the bed of it, and then putting some flowers in there just to kind of incorporate them. It'll be out of the way. The golfers won't hit it, but they'll see it.
Yeah, cool.
Any questions?
I just want to note that Rebecca and Jeff were just smiling throughout your presentation.
They're still smiling.
What about the fescue? When is that planted, or how's that working? Or
Yeah, it'll come up. It just takes 2 to 3 years to fully
Okay.
mature. Just
Okay.
that those areas just take time. The bent grass obviously germinates a lot faster, grows in faster, but the out of play fescue areas will take 2 to 3 years to fully mature and really take off. But everything looks great. I'll go back to this one picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody loves this
Yeah.
picture on 12.
Yeah.
I miss those golfers that were out there.
I know, yeah. So
The promotional pictures
That's
were
very
great.
exciting.
now we just need warm weather. Just hopefully get some
And no more snow?
and no more snow,
All right.
and then we'll be
That's
out there
great.
playing.
Thank
Looks
you.
beautiful.
Great, thank you.
Good job,
Thank you.
Brian. Great. All right, Liz, can you follow that? Yes, she has a very exciting topic, so people will know where they are.
Thanks for coming, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Looks great sunset.
Following Ryan's Monet paintings is a little difficult. So this evening, I will be showing you our signage program for inside the parks, as well as a few options from our architects for the monument signs in the front of the parks. So, as many of you know, our signs today are a mixed bag. There are hundreds of signs, lots of different designs out there. Many of them are dated. There are lots of variations of the same message. Many don't communicate concise, consolidated, or consistent messages. So our goal for this project was to really standardize the aesthetics of our signage, the quality, the messaging. We wanted to also easily and efficiently and clearly orient and direct visitors or alert them of hazards or specific rules. We also wanted to make sure that we were adhering to ADA regulations, PDERMA regulations, and any other regulations with our signage. We also wanted to come up with a cost-effective design and consolidate the messaging to reduce the number of signs in our parks because we have hundreds and hundreds of them. We also wanted to take inspiration from the color palette and the minimalistic design of our Rosewood Beach signage. So that was sort of our jumping off point was Rosewood. And also just to extend our Park District brand within our parks to give the quality feel and look and welcomeness to our parks that we do with our programming and at our facilities. So as part of this project, we did a lot of research. We looked at other local park districts, forest preserves. We looked at how the city of Highland Park utilizes their signage. We looked at universities, hospitals, campuses, other cities, as well as our ADA and PADERMA regulations, and worked very closely with our Parks Department, our Risk Management Department, and Planning. So these are just some of the signs that are out there in the world today at other park districts, forest preserves, and campuses. So we really did a lot of background checking and research just to find out how other locations implement signage standards and programs. Whoops. So, okay. So this is our framework. There are basically 3 sets of signs, and I know this is really intriguing, but there are ID signs, which are our monument signs. We also will be incorporating welcome signs, which is really a consolidation of a lot of the rules and the visitor information that currently is out in multiple signs. We also will have informational signs, which will provide amenity information of rules within parks. A lot of that signage is already out in various locations. We also will have regulatory signage, which will be consistent with what the city does for their regulatory signage, and that'll be for parking hazards and ordinances. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the options that our Woodhouse Tanucci has put together for our monument signs. So a monument sign is located in the front of a park or a facility. It really identifies the property name. It needs to be large enough to be seen from a roadway. Visibility, it needs to be able to be viewed from the road, and there should be high contrast between the background and the lettering. A lifespan of a monument sign should be more than 20 years, and for the structure and the aesthetics, meaning the colors and the typeface and things like that. So these are a variety of plantings that Woodhouse has recommended for around our monument signs. Colorful grasses, things that will maintain some color throughout the year. Prairie grasses, things of that nature that really will help, show off the monument sign.
Excuse me, and low maintenance.
Low maintenance, yes. So I'm going to actually put this up now as I go through the options because it'll be a little bit easier, I think, for you to see the colors that they're recommending. So the first option is this option.
Hey, Brian, will you just pull it over a little bit in front of, or someone there?
Okay, thank you. This is weathered steel with a black frame. So it gives, it's a very organic look, almost like a rusted look, the way steel would age over time. And this type of sign would be aged by the manufacturer, and then there would be a coating put over the top of it to keep it from aging anymore. But it would have various variations to it, and the frame would be just a very simple metal frame, steel frame that would go across the sides and then across the top of the sign.
Are there examples of those around here? Maybe
Field trip?
Of the
I feel like I've seen them up north.
Let's go to the Food King.
the weathered steel. Yeah, I don't know of any.
Lake County, maybe?
That's what I was thinking. I thought I'd seen them along maybe the bike trails or something up north farther, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be.
It just looks a little familiar, but.
And the frame, again, would be a black frame, steel frame. So option 2 is this one. So it would be the weathered steel for the actual frame, but the panel, this part, would be painted a dark, almost chocolate brown.
Which one is that you were just
This one right
Yeah.
here. So that's option 2. And then option 3, we have option 3A and option 3B. It, again, would be a painted metal sign with a painted steel frame, either a gray-blue, which is over here, or more of a charcoal gray. So those are the options that they're recommending. So just think about that a little bit.
Does the Park District have colors? I mean, like, the Cubs are red, white, and blue. Does the Park District have, like, designated colors?
Yeah, like our logo.
Yeah,
Like, it's green and what was?
Even yellow with
green
blue.
and like a marine blue.
So why, I'm just asking, why wasn't that, like, the Park District's quote-unquote colors incorporated into the signs?
Part of it is, again, you want a high contrast for monument signs. So you want to have a dark background and then a very light type, so they're easy to see in the dark. They're easy to see from a distance. They're easy to see, if you're driving 35 miles an hour down Clavey.
So the Park District colors are not those.
There's
type?
not enough high contrast between the two.
But in the parks, you'll see the Park District colors, so we want the monument sign to kind of marry the informational, I don't know if that's the right word, I've been using that word a
Right,
lot.
right. The signs within the park are walk-up, so their requirement for as high a contrast isn't as much as it would be for these signs.
But you just put your finger on something that I'm going to ask at this point. Like when I'm driving down Clavey, I come across the Deer Creek Court sign or other signs. They're not illuminated. So no matter what colors we have at night, these signs don't jump out at you. So are we planning on putting in solar lights or something so we can light up these signs?
Reflectors?
I believe.
Well, I don't want to bring power in because that would be incredibly costly, but couldn't we do something to light them up with solar?
We would have to work with the city because they have very particular lighting sign policies, so.
Do we want our signs lighted?
Well,
I mean,
if
the,
you're
close,
driving,
the parks close at dusk. I mean,
Deer Creek,
yeah.
Well, maybe something like
Well, but
that
if
where
you're
people
gonna
have
use-
access to later.
and it's dark, and all I'm saying is these are dark. And so they're not going to
Right.
pop out at you when you
Right,
drive.
that's what I
Right.
was going to say.
The lettering will pop, and the signs that we have right now are dark brown with white lettering.
They're like railroad ties almost, like, right?
Yeah.
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 They're big
Yeah.
old wood signs.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think we've had some conversation about too is the orientation of the signs. In some cases, some of our signs are horizontal to the road, when maybe they'd have higher visibility if they were vertical to the road. So from a distance, as you're coming on it, it's easier to read, and you're
Can you
not.
paint them on
right
both sides then?
Yes.
That makes sense.
So then moving into the signs within the parks, behind the monument sign, would be welcome signs. The welcome signs would be at main entrances to the park. So say at a parking lot or at the entrance of a walking path. They would be walk-up, so the visibility, the contrast is not as much of a requirement for these. The information on these signs would really be a consolidation of info that we currently have on multiple signs. They would provide additional park information, and they would orient the customer to the park. They would include the park name, general visitor information like park hours, any kind of rules. Larger parks could also have a map that would provide them with like a "You Are Here" icon with locations of various amenities that you can't visually see in the park because it's a larger park. Walking and biking path mileage and potentially links to regional paths. There might also be information about natural area features like rain gardens or things like that on those signs. Smaller park or a path entrance would really just have the general rules and hours and things like that for the park.
How does this differ from the sign we have at Rosewood at the bottom?
This would be like that sign.
Same colors?
They would be the blue color with green accents and then white type. So similar in the same family.
We have the logo on these I forgot what you called it.
Monument.
Monument signs.
Monument signs. We do not have the logo on the monument sign, and there was a lot of conversation about the monument sign. Because these signs, we hope, will last more than 20 years, the logo over time could change. And, if that happened, then the logo on these signs would be out of date as well. So when we talked to Woodhouse about the color schemes and what they were recommending, they really wanted to come up with colors that were very timeless, that weren't too trendy. And a logo can change over time as tastes change and trends change with colors and with
Is it important
icons.
to have the logo on there? I mean, just from your marketing standpoint?
For that reason.
Well, let's say we just had the greatest logo ever, and
We do have the
We do
greatest
have the
logo.
greatest logo ever.
That's not
then why are we thinking about changing it?
Except for the Cubs, it's the second best.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like, okay, I guess I'm just
And the
asking.
Blackhawks have it.
Because over time, logos can change again as tastes change or the marketplace changes. And so that was part of the conversation, was to try to keep these as neutral and as non-specific or trendy as possible, but still give them the high contrast and visibility.
And just to piggyback on what Liz is saying, if you remember when we have the stone monument signs at the lakefront, and so we kind of, in talking with Woodhouse, said, because we all love the stone monument signs, but the stone monument signs are very expensive, so we felt that that was more appropriate at our lakefront parks, but that we wanted our signs in our non-lakefront parks to sort of feed off of the Rosewood sign. So the lettering is exactly the same as the Rosewood sign, and on our Rosewood sign, there is no monument. There's a lot of words in the Park District of Highland Park, and when we use our logo, we like to use the Park District of Highland Park with it. So we felt, from an identification standpoint, for the Park District of Highland Park, we spell it out right there. So we didn't think that the logo was as critical, and because of change in the other things that Liz cited. But this really is sort of a more user-friendly for the park sign that follows the Rosewood, the granddaddy of our.
What's the material I forgot? Is it steel or?
It's, yes.
Steel. And what kind of posts are you using?
They are steel posts.
Steel posts?
Right. For these signs, the posts would be, they're aluminum, and they can be purchased as kits or in bulk, and they can be different lengths. And they
What
can
kind of
be-
foundations do you need to create for these signs?
They do need to go into the ground, and I'm trying to remember. We can do sleeves.
So what are you going to, probably the monument, you probably do cement, but the other ones use sleeves, or what were you thinking?
The monument definitely would be cement, and then for those signs, like the welcome signs, they would be in cement as well.
Oh, they will? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because they would be permanent.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot, and I meant to ask. The text of the signs at Rosewood, did we do that in-house?
Mm-hmm.
And so we can change the text? Okay. I just
Yes.
wanted to make sure.
Um,
Of the signs we're looking at now?
Right.
But the
The
text
pa-
or the fonts? It's actually.
Both.
Both?
The panels can come off.
So if we change hours of a park or something, then we have
Right.
the facility of being able to do it.
But that was sort of my idea about the logo, is that if it was important to us to have it where it could be affixed or unaffixed, that you wouldn't have to take down the entire sign, you know what I mean? You could screw on a metal plate or whatever, whatever. But if like, I'm not passionate about it, I'm just, if we thought it was important, there may be ways to not have to replace the whole sign if we changed the logo.
Yeah. And
How did you choose the fonts?
the fonts for these,
For all of them?
the fonts for this was based on off of Rosewood. This is the same font.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. No. I'm not sorry. I'm tired.
I do like calling.
Okay,
What?
let's keep going.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to mention too, the framing system for these signs, the panel slides in, so there are caps on top that unscrew. The panels can slide in. These, because rules can change and things can change, amenities can change, these probably have a 10-year life, maybe more, all dependent on when things here change, but those would be easily changed out.
If any of these signs were vandalized, I'm talking like spray paint or anything, how would you address that?
These are, the posts are painted, and so we have, the manufacturer has paint that we, as a matter of fact, they come up with a touch-up kit. And the panels also we can take out and replace.
Got it.
So this is just an example of how one welcome sign could replace all of these individual signs that are out there in our parks, and probably more signs than that, but that's just an example of how the one sign could consolidate information and minimize the amount of signs that we have out there.
No coughing in the park?
Yeah, I was wondering where that was.
And that is an issue, and that would be a standard rule that we would put into
No sharks?
into the welcome sign.
No penguins.
And then these are signs that you've seen probably already because they have been rolled out in the parks. These are the informational signs that provide rules and information on amenities within a park, whether it's a dog park, the dog beach, playground, or tennis courts. And these provide non-regulated, non-hazard information. So these are signs that we already have out there. These signs is just an example of how we're consolidating. Again, for our tennis courts, there are multiple little signs out there. We have one sign now that can replace all of those. For tennis courts, this sign would be posted on the fence as opposed to, in most cases, as opposed to being on a frame, stand-alone frame. And then our playground signs, we currently have 2 playground signs for each playground, and we've been able to consolidate that into one. Regulatory signs, this is just really taking the same kind of format as the city. They use the same design with the red stripe at the top, giving kind of the danger warning information, and then using black type with the additional information at the bottom. So these would be used for warnings, life safety, ordinance, or fine-related information. And then this is just an example how one sign can replace all of those signs for cleaning up and keeping your dog on a leash. So, so this is the internal park sign system. Welcome signs, again, amenity signs, hazard signs, and then utilizing just the same, standard regulatory signs like stop signs, yield signs, things like that, that are currently available across the country. And the next step is to provide approval on the monument sign options. And Kennedy Park will be our first installation for the new monument sign, as well as the signage within the park. We'll fine-tune the program as needed, and then we'll fully implement the program based on the planning department's schedule and their budget.
2 questions. So we've budgeted for this already? We have a line item in the budget?
Mm-hmm.
Second question, does the staff have a recommendation?
We do. For the monument signs?
Yes.
We like
Bottom left.
Bottom left.
Bottom left.
That was my choice.
Done, it's in. What else do you need?
That was my guess, but that was going to be the staff
was that your guess?
Yes, I had it in the pool.
So that's the painted metal sign with painted steel frame, charcoal gray or blue gray.
It's the blue-gray.
The blue
This
girl
is
looks
the
much
charcoal.
nicer.
And the price is right,
Okay.
really.
Merrill.
Yeah.
Carol Merrill's,
Yeah.
2 Carol Merrill
The,
references.
the brown and the, probably, I don't want to steal your thunder, I'll let you keep going. But it's,
More?
what, $1,500 cheaper?
What are we
yeah,
talking about?
Yeah,
What-
the
Cost of
No,
the
I mean,
weather
what is the cost?
Here,
for these signs down here and for this option, for a 9-foot sign, it would be $5,200. For a 6-foot sign, it would be $4,700, and for a small sign, like a 5-foot sign, would be $4,400.
How do you decide what size to use then? All right, let me give you an example. On Kennedy Park, I assume the sign goes near the street.
I believe it goes with, it's in the park currently, and so there's the parking lot in front, and then it's in in the park on the other side of the parking lot. And I believe that would be a 6-foot sign, I believe.
I can see, well, depends on the use of the park, I suppose. How big the sign is to give people a heads up that you're coming to it. Like Deer Creek probably gets a lot of people who come from other places,
Right.
so you want the humongo sign.
Large parks would most likely be the 9-foot signs, a neighborhood park would be the 6-foot sign, and then a pocket park would be the 5-foot. So I believe Kennedy would be a 6-foot.
and the idea of moving the sign so that they're not parallel, so that you can see it from both sides would be a big improvement, where we can do it.
When they're close to the road,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like Rosewood, the sign at Sunset Valley will be different, I assume?
The Sunset Valley sign will be like that sign.
What's that?
Like
I'm
this.
like, yeah, so when you drive down
Golf or whatever that
Court,
is? Or court.
whatever it is, you will see, it actually will match the building beautifully.
Okay.
And that was just ironic, I think. We like that blue.
All right. Pick the blue. All is good.
We like the blue?
This might-
Yeah,
that's
my
good.
only request is that we seriously look into illumination and solar or whatever it is, because it really does pose a challenge if you're looking for, and I'll use Deer Creek as the example, as it's getting duskier at night. And that's one of the facilities that's open.
Rosewood.
Right, I think for the facilities that have the potential of being opening after dark, I agree.
Well, you have, yeah,
Centennial.
Centennial, it's Danny Kniff.
Our
Think.
community parks, as we call them, it
Right.
would be appropriate at those sites.
Yes, okay,
Sunset.
yes, okay.
Thank you.
And I did
Oh,
want to just
sorry.
real quick thank Mike Evans. He's not here today, but
Thank you,
know,
Mr.
from
Evans.
our
Mike,
planning
thanks, Mike.
department, who
Thank you, Mike.
is our landscape architect. He went around and did digital documentation of all of the signs in our parks. And Ricochet, who is our marketing technician right here.
There she is.
She did all the legwork and the research and design for the signage in the parks. So,
I want to ask one last question.
yeah.
It's for me.
The plantings are designed to be low maintenance, I assume.
Correct.
Yes.
Looks like my wife.
But at Rosewood right now, I think that we have.
They're more flower, yes,
More
they're
flowers.
more
Are we going to
annually.
replace those then with the grassy plantings?
I'm not,
Yeah, we're going to spruce it up a little bit.
Okay.
not my strong suit.
I think you should show this to Lori with her marketing background. I don't know if she's seen it or not.
I will.
She's
Okay.
got to show up, so let's
Okay.
keep going.
All right, thank you.
And-
And that,
They have 2 sentences.
I love you.
It's one sentence,
I know I can get thrown off the board.
I know,
for saying that, but-
you're in a lot of
in a
trouble now.
platonic way.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Okay, this was presented for the board's review on March 13th. Our checks written from February 23rd through March 28th.
Yeah.
Total $614,079.
I know that Barney's reviewed it, so we're okay with it.
We're all good, okay.
We're all
Done,
good.
done.
I'm done.
You said 2
I'm
sentences.
done. That was 2.
Thank you.
Thank you, very nice job.
She's been here 2 hours.
Just to say that?
Next time, send someone.
Karen, since you're our public, would you like to speak?
Sorry.
Okay, good. No,
Are we gonna wait for my mom to come back?
no.
Okay.
She speaks whenever. She doesn't wait for the public. Open to the public.
Recognize that the city is trying to unify their signs also. And they have they've been working with the Planning and Design Commission on that. And the Preservation Commission has also been trying to work out signage. So.
Oh, we're ahead of the game.
Heads up.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Good comment.
Okay, can I get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Open Meeting Act? Section 2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline of the district. Section 2C5, the purchase or lease of real estate. Section 2C6, the setting of a price for the sale or lease of property. Section 2C21, the discussion of minutes. And Section 2C29, discussions between internal or external auditors and the board.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein? Commissioner Grossberg?
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg? President Kaplan?
Aye, we're in closed. Show that we adjourned at